everyone, welcome back. Time to finish your quilt. The binding is the last thing we need to apply. We've just talked about how to calculate how long to make that binding. Let's talk now about how to put the pieces together to make that long piece. We have cut strips with the fabric, and just like your book on page 113, using the term hoe down, horizontal down. Here is the right side up, here's the horizontal with the right side down. It has been marked from corner to corner and sewn across there. Next, you can see that we would trim this to 1/4 inch and press the seam open, just like the picture in your book. So then your horizontal piece is extended up, and now this becomes the right side up, and then the horizontal is down. And my only suggestion that was different from the book was that you put a pin on either side of your line. To hold it in place while you walk over to the sewing machine. So corner to corner, where the corners intersect, I'm drawing a line. I'm going to put a pin on the other side. I think you have 3 or 4 of these to assemble, so we would take them over to the sewing machine and just sew, chain piecing them together. The next thing you're going to do, as your book shows on the next page, is to fold this at a 45-degree angle, and we would want the wrong sides together. And then you're going to fold the whole length of the binding and press it in half. You're going to fold it in half and press it. Your finished product is going to look like this, with the folded part at the top. Next, we have to get the quilt ready, and that means removing the excess batting in the back. Now, this is different from what your book says, and Libby and I have been taught this way, and we think this is a better approach for your first time. Try what the book says on your next quilt, maybe. It's very easy to use a square ruler for the corners. Remember, this was a 2-inch border. You've taken a 1/4 inch seam, so you should have 1 3/4 left. So if we line this up and we line 1 3/4 this way, usually I'm fine on the straight, but I have trouble on the corners. No wonder this wasn't working. We'll do it this way. Okay, looks like I might be a little off up here, but when you use the square ruler, you know that this is then a 90-degree angle. So you might have to be a little ruthless here, but we want nice straight edges. And then you can use a longer ruler to do your long edge. Again, I'm trying to line up 1 3/4 inches. Oops. You know, if you get too many of those that don't cut all the way through, you may need a new blade. Just going to cut that off, and I'm going to cut this one off. Okay, so when we come back after the questions, we'll be putting the binding on this corner right here. Now, this is the perfect time to apply a label or a sleeve to your quilt. If you're going to hang it as a wall hanging, then you might want a sleeve. You basically baste the sleeve to the back. So you're binding to the front, catching that sleeve again, and when you turn your binding to the back, you have a nice finished edge on your sleeve. This quilt, you can see the sleeve is the same fabric as the back, so it blends very nicely. It's back a little bit from the edge so the rod doesn't show. And you would hand sew it underneath here, leaving a little pocket for the rod. If you're hanging it in a quilt show, they are very specific on the size of the pocket that they want, so be sure and follow their directions. Now, on my label, I did not. You can always apply these later, but if I had done this when I was applying the binding, I would have moved this to the corner, caught two edges with the machine stitching, and then hand basted like I've done on the other two parts of it. So we'll stop for questions.